What's good, guys? It's your boy CS back with another one. In today's video, I am going to be doing a whistle-stop tour of basically Bitcoin charts, the indexes, S&Ps, Dow Jones, the USDT chart, basically everything. Whatever I can see, I will go through. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. I'm going to go into the tether dominance chart. As we all know, inversely correlated to Bitcoin. And look, I'll just get rid of all the noise just for now and just see where we are. So we have been rejected from this 3.78% level, right? Around here for multiple weeks during December. And it was something that a lot of us in the VIP chat were looking at, which was ultimately, we're going to get a bounce here, but how far do we go up? And I think the level that I kept going on about was this 4.4% level, which is, look, if we go past this, we are going to go higher. How much higher, I don't know. Will it just be a temporary bounce or will it be a full bear market? Personally, I don't think it's a full bear market. And again, I could be wrong here. But as it played out, we went through the different points of controls. And last week, we got such a big, I'd say manipulation candle, because an 18% candle upwards is insane. And yes, you could say this is a pin bar wick, this one right here, but look at the wick that's come down and how it's actually ended. It ended here at 4.457. And yet the following week or last week, we ended up at 5.45%. And now we've already gone up this week. And one thing I was conscious of was how far further do we go? Because this 5.62% level is quite big as it is. But actually looking at, if we just go on a weekly, right, we can see that we're kind of like testing this wick region here at 5.88. So I could have put another line there, presumably, just to see if this is another kind of like daily time frame of resistance. But this seems to be an area where Bitcoin has massive demand ultimately. And so where we are right now is a bit of no man's land for some people, but for myself and whoever's in the VIP chat, and actually not even just in the VIP chat, just regularly in my signals group, the calls group, right? I literally said I'm buying here. I bought here because of a couple of patterns. This wedge pattern, this is one wedge pattern, this green one. Then you've got this kind of like mid-range wedge pattern. And then you've got the bottom end, which is this yellow wedge pattern. See how it's got, well, it starts here, hits, and then I was guaranteed there was going to be another wick down. And so I even said it in real time within the VIP chat. Look, I'm going to long here because it also correlates to this point of control zone. And if we zoom all the way, not too far actually, out, we'll notice there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candlesticks within this 75 to 77k region. Now, granted, it's very weak because that's, in my opinion, it's not a weekly or a monthly time frame. That's a daily time frame. Daily supports and resistance are strong, but not compared to higher time frames as in weekly and monthly. So really, this was super fragile. And if we really did break it, yeah, then it opens the gateway where we basically flip and test it as resistance and then come back down to 72k. Now, that's the second reason. So the wedge pattern here on the yellow, this point of control. And then the other point that I discussed literally within the VIP chat or in the signals group or both, I literally said, there's too much fear. Everybody is at extreme fear now. The fear and greed was at extreme fear. Going on the timeline, everybody's talking about 72k next stop and 70k and 60k. And I love that because I've minimized my Twitter, my X posting, because I'm watching all these all of these guys follow one person, one call who's saying this, that, and the other, and they take it as gospel. Never. Be your own independent boss. That's what I always teach everybody. Even on my channel, if somebody goes and does their own thing, at least have a proper risk management plan on why you're entering a trade. So that was a third reason that sentiment was so super low. And if we go here, another reason was the RSI, which I saw it was already cooked here, and it was cooked here. So I was waiting for it to bounce here. I actually got in here on alts, and then put my stop loss entry, then got wiped out on this one. Then I got in again here because I was like, this is a deviation. It's already gone to 18. Notice this, the chart, right? I go in here. Notice here how it goes to 17, and then up here it's at 82. Then it goes on, takes another dump. It goes up a bit and then goes another dump and then goes to 19. Notice how it goes to 80k. Then it comes up a bit, and you never want to buy here, nowhere. And you don't even really want to buy here. You want to buy when it comes back down to around under 30. So here was a good op at around 77k. And it took me out, and I thought, if it goes lower, this is an even better bargaining opportunity because the RSI is getting overcooked here. There's a divergence. Notice the lower it goes, once it sits at its peak point, it'll never go below that point. And anything that goes up and then comes back down, that's where you want to buy. Also, to make this easier with my wave patterns, my market cipher, this was flashing a buy signal here. Finally. And that's why I initially took the first one, as I said. And then this one is even better because it's flipped back up and it's popped green. See that little green bit there? But I've already anticipated that it's going to come there. And that's the perfect buy opportunity. So in retrospect, there were many reasons why I took a long trade. Like there's 5 reasons, 6 reasons just off the back, right? I mean, even a bigger reason was... we have, at that point, if we just zoom back out, at this point, we're nowhere near the 1 hour EMA ribbon. We're nowhere near it. Even here, we're nowhere near it. That doesn't necessarily mean we've got to go back and test it, but because we're nowhere near it and we're not even bouncing off it, why am I going to be bullish at this point? Do you get where I'm coming from? So there you go. There's like 8 reasons, 9 reasons. There were just so many different reasons at that point that I had to be bullish. It just made sense to be bullish, right? And so where are we right now? The first thing I want to look at is these gaps, right? So the first one is a gap here at 86k, and now we've got another one here at 84,725. I don't care what anyone says. We're going back to test that at some point. The bull market is still on. We are going to test that at some point. And that's why I'm still bullish. And why I'm still so bullish while everyone is, I don't know, are we still in a bull market? Are we not? Right, follow me here. And I'm going to take everything off. So all gaps eventually get filled, or at least the gap traders want to tell us that, right? So why can't it work in a bullish case? We're always screaming, gaps got to be filled to the downside. Okay, cool, bro. Let's go to the upside then. So we've got a massive gap here, 5,700 to 740, 760-ish, right? There's one gap. We've got another gap here, 5,814 and 5,823, okay? So there's 2 gaps already. And then we've got a final boss gap that nobody even wants to talk about. And nobody even is even seeing here, right here at the all-time highs at 6136. That's right at the all-time highs. And you're telling me we're not going to go back up for one more leg. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, right? Same thing on the US30. There's a gap here. 4-2, whatever you want to call it. I'll put the alert in there. There's one gap. And so I think Spartan asked a really good question once upon a time, like, what is a gap? Why are there gaps? They're basically gaps between market trading hours and after trading hours. So one of these charts, This one is the market trading. So this is open. Let's just think of it as a basic analogy. It's open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. That's when market hours are open. This chart is open basically 24/7, kind of, with a few breaks here and there, right? So this is after market hours trading. And same with the Nikkei, right? I know the Nikkei has some type of, there we go. It's got a gap right at the top. It's got a gap technically here as well. And you can just see where those gaps are, where they've not been filled. So basically, in order for a gap to be filled, let's go back to the SPX so I can just show you how a gap gets filled, right? Look at this gap here, 5782 to 5864, right? So 57 doesn't get filled. Oops. This gap, I'll just put horizontal line just for the sake of it. I need to put my chart stuff back on. That gap doesn't get filled until January, and that gap was back in November. But do you see my point? How it gets filled later on here? It touches it and then goes flying. And that's where we are right now, and why I'm looking at so many of these gaps, and they're just kind of basically taking people out left, right, and center, which is good for us, I guess, because I think I've got the secret sauce in the sense of we're going up and we're going much higher. Now, from a technical analysis perspective, from leaving the gaps aside and why I'm so bullish, we're within this little channel here. And once we break out of it, that's going to be key for Bitcoin to move, because obviously we want risk on assets like the stocks and the indices to move. And so if this can finish above the weekly close here at 563 something, 635, bullish. We've tagged it, and then we can be on our way. And also, if we can break out of this rising channel, this will take us quite far up as well and come back to test the 584. So immediately, we're taking out two gaps. This is what I'm seeing. So if we come up, we flip within the next couple of days, and then we make a charge, we're gonna slice those out. And look where we are. We're only at 618 right now. If we go up to 5850, that's a huge move, especially for Bitcoin as well, right? In terms of dominance now, let me go on the tether dominance, just go back on this. So we've got a bounce, and that was the bounce that I was looking at that correlated with the gap getting filled on the S&P. Right now, where are we? And am I bullish? Yes, I'm bullish, but also I'm just aware that we're getting a bit of rejection again from the EMA ribbons, and this isn't really a good sign whatsoever. It's actually bearish, because we've come back and we've tested the 50 EMA like I said we would do, and we've come back down, and now, yeah, we're kind of in no man's land in the sense of Bitcoin needs an impulsive move here, and it needs one really, really quickly to take all of this out. And we need to come back and test the 84K, and then we can start looking at filling in that CME gap. So at the moment I am bullish, but also the signs are there on the EMA ribbons where we really need to, clock above this clusterfuck on not the 15 minute, but on the 15 minute too, but on the 1 hourly, we really need to get above back here again, get the trend on our side, and also get a 4 hourly close above. Now, the SPX is pumping like crazy, and if we just look at certain stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, I might even just pull up Apple. Apple's not doing too well. But even still, if we look at all of these, look, there's a gap there that needs to get filled. So if we're looking at gaps, just generally, that they are going to get filled, and they are going to get an all-time high. Like, look, 245 is another gap that needs to get filled. There's another gap here that needs to get filled at 254. Look at all these gaps that need filling. They are going to get filled regardless. So the gap fills, the EMA trends, I'm looking for Bitcoin to make a big move now. SPX is rocking finally. We really ideally want to come back and test that big region again. above here, 635. Now, in terms of the most important thing, which is if you're going to miss this whole move from 82k back up to 110k, as I think we are going to go, because of other things as well, the MVRVZ score is still at like 2, below 2, something like that anyway. I just trade on leverage ETH here. ETH is probably your best bet. Like, if you did a long here and put your stop loss below, I don't know, let's say 1,700 or below the weekly, 1,773, I think personally that's a very good trade because we're so low right now. And in Dogecoin, look at this perfect pattern that's playing out here. Even in Dogecoin, if you can get anything around here and long it, and let's say it goes, remember, Dogecoin is 100% going to go back to its all-time high at some point. It's not really been hit. If you think about it, it's only just come back to basically where we were in October. It's done nothing, right? And its all-time high is at 4.8, and everyone's calling for $1. If you longed it here on high leverage and maybe got out at maybe, let's say, 0.8, 0.9, you're laughing. That's a multiple X, and it's worth the risk to reward here because anything under, let's say, 1.4, I think is a very good trade here. And look, we've got this massive pattern here playing out. It just looks too good to be true, in my opinion. Same with Solana, right? Everybody's going to go back into Solana. And look at this amazing trade that I put right on the T1112. I told everybody in my group, buy. Because this is such a key area of support that a lot of people, when they come back into the networks and they buy up the Solana, this is going to go flying. This is going to go flying so high, like proper high, man. And so the core ones to buy are ETH, Doge, and Solana if you want to be super safe, right? And if we look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, ETH is still doing nothing. It's doing nothing. But once it moves, I promise you, when it does move, you're going to get something like that within a couple of weeks. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, bang. Right? ETH season. 1, 2, 3, bang. And then it just goes sideways. It takes 3 weeks for ETH to go ballistic. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? It goes ballistic for like 6, 7 weeks. And that's all we're looking for. When it's at its all-time low right now. Not all-time low, but it's local low on a weekly since January 2021 in the bear market. This is ETH to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just been absolutely trailblazing. And so Ethereum will have its time. It will have its time at some point. We just got to be patient. Now, the other thing is when ETH does well, the alts that are on there are going to be doing well. So you already know like Turbo, MOG, SPX. I told everyone about the SPX trade earlier on today. I literally said I'm getting in. The receipts are all there, by the way, while it was in red. Wojack's obviously on there. DogeGov is just a really stupid play. Pepe is very safe. Brett, obviously. No introduction. I think I said MOG. And then Floki, obviously, as well. BNB, ETH, hybrid. So these are the coins that you want to be looking at because they're going to get the most shine when it comes to ETH. Like, look at SPX today. ETH's not even doing anything, but SPX is moving. It's moving 10% already today. And Solana, very similar things, right? Like GigaChad. When Solana starts moving, GigaChad did 44% yesterday. It's doing 11% currently today. So pick the winners on the chains. Even Chain GBT as an ETH BNB hybrid. I would long that because it's the best bet on Ethereum as an AI coin, in my opinion. Same with Fetch. A lot of these coins have also, this is a good thing to understand, which is with meme coins, a lot of them are diluted. They're never going to come back. They're never going to come back. You're going to have either really strong community meme coins that are going to come back or utility coins that are going to come back. And so Ondo is another one. RWA, the top RWA coin, in my opinion, this thing is going to absolutely shine when it has its chance. I really do think it's just going to blow everything out of the water. And if we look at Ondo as a real world asset, tokenizing assets like real estate, or a particular asset that you might have in mind and put it into crypto, like, look, it's basically hit this support trend line. It's basically hit it. And look, it's a really strong coin where right now it could just do a 3-4x on spot, but on leverage, I really think it'll do big, big, big numbers. And that's where I'm at with most of the coins right now. If I look at the totals, yeah, this broke through here. Obviously, this was a bit more ascending in that sense. So if I really did it like that, kind of brings us back, gives us some type of justice. I mean, this one looks a bit better. This one looks like it's kind of conforming to... I mean, you can draw trend lines however you want, and you can make it biased to however you want as well. But realistically, as long as it sticks within the certain parameters of hitting 3 wicks like that, that's good enough for me. Like, you could even say, okay, well, I want it as an ascending one, like that, something like that anyway. You could say, well, that respects the levels, blah, blah, blah. Or you could say, no, I want it even more, something like this. And you could say that also respects it too. It's much more ascending, but it still respects the levels type of thing. So yeah, trend lines are very difficult sometimes because you can obviously have some type of bias towards them, and that's normal. But also looking at where the trend is heading, and is it just a dip? Looking at those totals charts on the weekly, to me, they just look like dips, in my opinion. Again, they just look like dips. Just like it was here, zigzag, zigzag down, zigzag, zigzag down. We've not had a motion where it's like this. Do you understand? Where it's like absolute chaos to the downside. It has been chaos, don't get me wrong, for altcoins anyway. But Bitcoin's not really been that badly hit when you think about it. What? It's gone from where I started this journey at like 15k all the way up to 110k, and has now come down to 76k, 77k. I don't think that in all that's been that bad for Bitcoin. For altcoins, yes, that's a different story. A different story whatsoever. But again, what we need to fixate on now is where is Bitcoin going in the short term and the future. And like I said, I think right now the EMA ribbons are pointing to rejection, and look, it has just rejected quite big there, quite severely, from the 1 hour again. And I'm just not a fan when it rejects like that. I really am not a fan. So it may swing my bullish thesis. Like I said, I was very bullish buying all my stuff here again, or my last few things. But we really need an impulse candle now from Bitcoin and from the SPX. And again, look, that's dropped. This is the reality, that things can move at very lightning speed, and you've got to be very much aware of what's going on. And it's okay to change your bias. It's not okay to change your bias very quickly, like, oh my God, I'm changing on a 1 minute candle, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay to change your bias knowing what's going on in front of you. So like for here, I'm very much aware that's getting rejected. We've got 15 minutes before candle close, but that's getting rejected. On the 4 hourly, we came up and we got rejected on the last candle. And right now, we kind of have tested it and we're getting a bit of a rejection, which is not good whatsoever. And that's why I'm looking towards the SPX to see, well, what's going on here? Another hit, another kiss off the 1 hour EMA. Are we going further down or are we going up? And that's the key question I've got in mind right now. Because here on this SPX candle, kiss off the orange 50 EMA and now back testing the 20 EMA. So this looks good in essence. Different charts can tell you different things. Being aware of it is okay. Changing your bias imminently is not okay. So right now, I'm still on my longs. I'm not going to change anything until I see something drastically change. And And right now, I'm presuming a lot of longs, late straddlers, they've got liquidated around here. And then they tried to get in again and then got here. Shorts got liquidated here. And maybe the longs are trying to get in again on high leverage, like 200, 300x leverage, and they're getting liquidated again. And that's all this is. It's just a liquidation event that these guys are getting taken out. They're getting too greedy. They're getting excited that we're just going to go pump, pump, pump. But Bitcoin and charts have a way of dealing with people like that. And that's why we look at buying red candles always on my channel. Never, ever. And shorting green candles and blow off tops. That's also very, very paramount to my trading style. Just a few other things for me before I wrap up on this video is if Solana continues like this will be an ascending triangle, right? Where we're just bouncing off and we zigzag, zigzag, and then we finally break it and then we get into the point of control. And that's what I'm basically looking for. Where Solana as an altcoin, Ethereum last cycle was so easy to find out what's going to happen to the chart, to the charts, because at one point it was a prime mover. Whatever Ethereum did, Bitcoin basically did in a weird way, even though Bitcoin obviously is the prime mover. But Solana right now is kind of leading the way in telling us, well, unless we break structure here, this is an ascending triangle. Now, granted, someone could argue, well, okay, CS, but isn't this also a rising wedge? Yeah, it could be. It could really be a rising wedge. Or a flag, because we come all the way down here. This is just a flag. And we bounced off it perfectly. Yeah, one could very much argue this is just a flag pattern. I think from my perspective, because I'm looking at relief and I bought in relief, I'm just waiting to see what happens here. If it comes all the way back down to 76k, 77k, cool. Stop losses in. And all my alts are basically in profit. I've taken profit on them. And even the ones that I've just got into, like SPX, for instance, that's at 10% plus. A few of them are doing quite well as well, like Turbo. But the ones that I'm already in, like Pepe and Brett, they're already green today when I bought them when they were at like, I think this was like 5.9 or something. All right, maybe here, 5.3, 5.4, something like that. Bounced off my level here. So I'm okay with like these levels. Also, just very quickly, I might just do this on a VC, but while we're here and I've got time, Han asked a good question, like point of control. Where how do yours hit there so perfectly? Well, this is a Pepe chart. So this is for Han, right? Point of control, I've put a weekly zone here because there's 3 candlesticks that hit into them. Also, there's a wick that's gone into them. And then there's a 4th one that starts on there. And there's a wick there and there's a wick there. So for me, this is a perfect wick and a point of control zone. Where if it wicks the top bit, perfect. And as you can see, it wicked there back in August. And then again, last week it wicked off there. And then this week it wicked down there, went through the point of control, and now we bounced off it. So in simple terms, Han, this is how I look at point of controls. And I'll do this more in depth on the VC if you really need me to. But high level, that's how I look for it. Weekly time zones where there's multiple wicks and candlestick closes within the point of control. That's where I'm looking for. All right, guys, that's all from me. Looks like a few alts are coming out to play. And look, just as I've been talking, Bitcoin is now, reversed or is reversing whatever it's trying to do. And that's what I mean. In live time, things can really change. There's a wick here. In the 50-minute, can it fill over? The 1 hour, can it fill over? Can it finally reclaim it? On the 4-hourly, is it going to go up? Same with the SPX, which must be pumping. Yeah, it is. There you go. Okay, well, I think I've exhausted everything there, and I hope that makes a lot of sense. And also, just one last thing, actually, is the meme market. The meme market has been atrociously slapped, where I'm telling you, Bonk and Floki are going to flip Trump. Whiff, if it comes out to play, will also flip Trump. And SPX is back again where it belongs. above Brett. I really do think this is, if this gets listings, because it's so far away from tier 1 listings, this thing is going to go bazooka banana ape shit, Ace Ventura ape shit. It's going to go wild. Our Fart coin is doing really well. Sneck, I really need to look into this because Mac has been going on about it quite a bit. But look how badly a lot of them have been slapped. Only really Dogecoin and Shiba have really held value here throughout this whole thing. And if I was going to long, like leverage long, I'd honestly consider actually, Shiba and Doge if you wanted to be conservative. But if you are optimistic like I am that this bull market is still damn right on and you want to get some leverage action, the time is now. It's not buying in green when it's like 84, 86. You have to take some risk in life. You have to take some risk. When people are fearful, be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. Vice versa. Yin and yang. Literally mirror versions of one another. Don't be like these guys that are shorting. And like, yeah, follow me, short. They're going to get their... There's just so many on the timeline. It really is just actually comical that they think they're going to do well in leverage trading. It's just, it doesn't work like that. You've got to be a very, very good trader, a very, very good person to be emotionless to what's going on in the charts, to understand when to trade and what not to trade and when to not, when to leave out trading. All right, guys, I think I waffled on a bit too much there, but hope you enjoy the content. Give a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. Enjoy.